Several MLS teams have upgraded their roster in the 2026 offseason. And today I'm going to tell you the top five teams who have improved the most through this transfer window. But before we get into that, make sure you guys like this video down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are 200 subscribers away from 12,000. We're going to try to hit that by next week when MLS opening day starts. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. So let's start off with number five. We have Nashville SC. Now, Nashville SC hasn't made a plethora of moves like some of these other teams, but they made one move that has dramatically improved the team, and it's something that they needed, and that is signing Christian Espinosa. Christian Espinosa was a unsung hero for San Jose. And when I say unsung, I'm not saying that the San Jose fans didn't appreciate how good he was. I'm just saying that a lot of people didn't really give him the credit he was due for how good he was. And I think San Jose are going to miss him in 2026. I mean, Nashville SC was a team that was very good in 2025 under BJ Callahan, a good manager who I think could be the USMNT manager one day. They won the US Open Cup, but it felt like they were just missing one thing. Sam Surridge had 20 plus goals in 2025, and he looked really, really good. It was kind of a come out season for him to showcase his talents. Now, he did have a lot of penalty goals, but he showed that he could live up to the expectations that the team were looking for him in 2025 when they signed him in 2023. But they just need that one piece. And I tell you what, this team could be very scary, especially when you link up Espinosa with Mukhtar and Sam Surridge. Now, Christian Espinosa had 36 goals and 70 assists in his time with the San Jose Earthquakes. He is going to bring a dynamic playmaking ability on the right side of the field, on the right wing. And I do think that he's going to be able to unlock this team and make them much, much better. I mean, I think they have a very good chance of finishing, which I don't want to give out my predictions completely, but they could finish the top half of the Eastern Conference and really be a serious threat in 2026 by adding him. And I'm surprised a lot of other teams didn't try to add him as aggressively, but Nashville SC made him a DP, which I think is what kind of put them over the top. I think this team, especially with Tag Seth and all these other players they have, they are going to be a force in 2025 or 2026, excuse me. And it's so funny, like I said, there's only one big, big signing that they made, but it's a huge signing. And I think it's going to have a huge impact. I've got them at number five in my offseason winners in MLS in 2026. Now at number four, we have the LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy won the MLS Cup in 2024. It was kind of a revival season for them, right? This is a team that had been down for several years. And when I say down, I mean they hadn't won an MLS Cup in a decade heading into the 2024 season. And 2025, it looked like they were going to be competitive, but they weren't going to be as good because Ricky Puig had torn his ACL in the Western Conference final in 2024. But hey, bad news, right? Groundhog Day. He tears his ACL again this offseason, and he's out for the 2026 season. And they can't catch a break. But I know you're going to say, well, if they lost Ricky Puig, how the hell are they having a great offseason? They've added some pieces. They've done some stuff they needed to do to subsidize losing Ricky Puig and trying to tie up some loose ends on this roster that had struggled in 2026, more specifically the back line. So the first thing they did was they traded for Jacob Glesnes from the Philadelphia Union, who was a 2022 or 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, and he was the runner-up in 2025. Some people think maybe he's on his last leg, and maybe he's not very good. He'll be 32 this year, but I think he still has a lot to offer, especially with a team like this. They're not asking him to be the best defender in MLS. They're asking him to be a reliable center back that doesn't concede a lot of goals. I think he can do that. So that was a great move by them. Then they traded for João Klaus. I'm not too happy about this trade on the fact that he will be a DP, which he's essentially filling Ricky Puig's DP spot for 2026. But I will say this, they desperately need someone up top. They missed Joveljic badly in 2025. I mean, their attack was not nearly as good. We saw Gabriel Peck struggle. We saw Joseph Paintel got injured a lot, but he struggled in 2025 as well. The wingers struggled mightily in 2025. I think João Klaus could be something similar to what Jovic did for the Galaxy to a certain extent. Like he's not going to score 20 goals for the LA Galaxy, but what he can do is he can be an effective striker who can play make and lay off to Peck and Paintsel, set up some goals for them, create some chances up top. And I do think he could bag at least probably 10 to 12 goals for them, which would be a huge improvement from what they had in 2025. So that was a good move. I like that as far. I don't like him being a DP, but I do like the move as far as upgrading the striker position. And then they obviously signed Eric Tommy from Sporting Kansas City. He's going to be a guy they're going to want to help ease the burden of losing Ricky Puig for a second season. I think he's okay. I don't think he's going to be a world beater. I don't think he's going to be maybe even as good as Marco Royce, but I do think he could be an improve. He could be an improvement from what we saw in 2025, especially from a depth piece. We'll see if he starts. I think he probably will, but we'll see. So I think they're trying to do things to be better in 2025. They're trying to get more depth. They're trying to fix their back line. They're trying to be more creative in the midfield. They're trying to have more stability up top. Oh, they also signed Justin Hack from New York City FC, which I think is a very underrated signing, who can play as a defensive midfielder, who can play as a center back. So they're trying to get depth. They're trying to be better. They're trying, if a guy goes down, they're not trying to have the whole thing crumble. I think the Galaxy will be much improved in 2026. I don't know if they're going to win an MLS Cup or anything, but I do like their offseason they've had. I think Will Kuntz is doing a pretty good job. We'll see what they do in 2026 compared to 20. It's hard to be much worse than they were in 2025. You guys let me know if you think the Galaxy will be drastically better than they were in 2025. Number 3, we have the Houston Dynamo. Now, listen, if you've been following me on Twitter, X, this YouTube channel for a long time, you know I'm not a fan of Ben Olsen. I think he's a retread. I think he's a dated manager. I don't rate him very highly, but they have done things with the Houston Dynamo to try to push things forward and improve their team in 2026. Starting off with Matty Bogusz. Matty Bogusz was a very good player for LAFC in 2023 and 2024. I think he was their best player most times in 2024. And when he was sold to Cruz Azul, I was a little sad because I thought that he was going to be a player they missed, right? I thought it was going to make the team worse, and it did make the team worse until they signed Son Heung-min. But he wasn't able to cut it out at Cruz Azul in Liga MX, and they're able to bring him back. Now, if we get Matty Bogusz of 2024, I think he's going to be the Houston Dynamo's best player. That's just my opinion. Now, they are paying $9 million for him. It's going to be a huge price tag. He's going to be expected to be their best player. Now, Ezekiel Ponce is obviously going to be up there as well. They spent a lot of money for the striker, but Matty Bogusz is going to be expected to link up with Ezekiel Ponce, create a lot of chances, score some goals, and be a driving force into this team making the playoffs in 2026 after not making it in 2025. They also added a DP striker slash winger and Guilherme, who played for Santos, scored 27 goals in like 90 plus appearances. A little bit older, 30, 31, will be 31 this year. He's a veteran signing. I think he's going to help this team have some stability. I think that having veteran presence is a huge deal for a lot of teams. I think that you need guys who have won, who have been through it, who can ease the tides when the boat's a little rocky. I think that this is very important. I don't know if he's going to like light the league on fire or anything like that, right? But I do think he's going to be an improvement and help this team, even if it's from a depth perspective or just being someone that they can count on for consistency. And they also brought back a familiar face in Hector Herrera, who was at Toluca. Now, we know that Hector Herrera's last stint or last moment with the Houston Dynamo wasn't something that you would want to end your book on, right? Or finish your story on. Spitting on the referee, getting suspended. Not the ending he wanted. He returns after a year in Liga MX, and he's not going to be a DP anymore. We'll see what he has to offer. But I do think that having him, like I said, with Guilherme, is that veteran presence. I think it could help the locker room, and I think it could make this team a little bit better in 2026. So I like what they've done. I think they're the third. They're the team that's had the third best offseason in MLS in 2026. Now, moving on to number 2, we have DC United. It's hard to be much worse than DC United's have been. They had 26 points. They didn't make the playoffs in 2025. And a lot of people, including myself, were wondering, does this club even care anymore? Is ownership committed? I mean, this is a historical team in MLS. They have 4 MLS Cups. They have the second most in MLS history. And it felt like that is just getting further and further away from the present day. So, what are they doing? Well, they hired Renee Weiler in the off or during the middle of the season or towards the end of the season in 2025, and they have brought in a plethora of reinforcements, and I love what they've done so far. Now, they did sign this Romanian DP striker, Luis Montino. I'm not too familiar with him. I don't know, Romanian players, DPs coming to MLS has been kind of hit or miss. I don't know if you guys remember a guy named Alexandra Matrica who went to New York City FC back in 2018. He really didn't pan out. And so the hit rate hasn't been great from Romania, but I think this guy is pretty highly touted. I think he could be really good. We'll see what I mean, $10 million. I mean, they're going to have to, I think it can reach up to $10 million. I think it's a base fee of 7 million that can reach 10. I mean, he's going to be expected to be one of their best players day one, and he's going to have to score goals, and he's going to have to really create some chances to be worth that price tag that DC United spent for him. They also trade for Ty Brebo. Now, this is a move I really like. Ty Brebo was the Golden Boot or the leading scorer for the Philadelphia Union. I guess he was the Golden Boot scorer for the Philadelphia Union, but he scored 19 goals for Philadelphia in 2025, and he helped them win the Supporters Shield. They bought him for 4.6 million from the Philadelphia Union. He's a DP as well. He's a proven goal scorer, 19 goals. That's the theme of this team in this offseason. They want to be able to score goals. I mean, that's a big reason why they only won 5 games in 2025 because they couldn't score. They couldn't score. Benteke was a guy that left this offseason, and, he didn't have service. He couldn't score. So that's why they fell off pretty hard in 2025 compared to 2024. And so their theme is get as many good goal scorers you possibly can get, and let's see what happens. So they got 2 goal scorers, probably going to play with 2 strikers up top. We'll see how that goes. But that's their theme. They also traded for Sean Ellis from the New York Red Bulls. They signed Sean Johnson from Toronto FC. So they got veteran presence. We'll see what happens with DC United in 2026. But this team I expect to be much improved. Now, the Eastern Conference is really hard, but they are trying. They are spending money, and they are going for it, and they want to be competitive in 2026. At number 1, I wonder if you guys can guess this. It is the defending champs, Inter Miami. Now, some of you might ask, Will, how is Miami number 1? And I would respond by saying, how are they not? Look what they've done. They have added so many players this offseason. It's almost hard to keep track of it. I mean, we were doing streams. It felt like I was talking about an Inter Miami player that's linked with the team every single time we would go live because they were just consistently linked with guys. So let's talk about what they did, right? Inter Miami won the MLS Cup in 2025, and they're trying to repeat, and they're trying to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So let's start off with their big signing. They went out and they signed Herman Berterame from Monterrey for $15 million. They need a striker. The theme of the team this year has been to go younger, and they needed someone to play up top who wasn't almost 40 like Luis Suarez, who they did re-sign, but to be a backup in 2025 or 2026. They went out and signed a young striker, 27 years old, who is going to dominate MLS. Berterame is going to be different in MLS, especially the service he's got. I think he's going to be the Golden Boot winner of the Major League Soccer season 2026. We'll see, early prediction, but I think he's going to absolutely dominate. I also want to mention that they let go of, they didn't let go, kind of did. It was like a mutual. Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba both announced that they were going to retire after the 2025 season. So that freed up 2 DP spots. So I want to make sure that we mention that. And they also let go of Chelo Winget and a couple other players. They acquired the goalkeeper of the year for Minnesota United and Dane St. Clair. What a great signing. I mean, you got the best goalkeeper in MLS to replace Ustari, who was not very good. And Rocco Rios Novo is not bad, but I don't think he's ready to be a starter. I think he's more of a backup at this point. I don't think he could start 45, 50 games this season. They also signed Sergio Reguilon from Tottenham, who is replacing Jordi Alba. But Sergio Reguilon got hurt in the first preseason game. We'll see when he comes back, but they're expecting him. They're counting on him. They need him to be Not he's not going to be as good in the attack as Jordi Alba, but he's expected to be as good, a better defender, and as good in the attack. They signed Facundo Mora from Racing, who they were competing with River Plate for his signature, and he chose Inter Miami over River Plate, which is a big deal. That would have never happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Now, obviously, there's the Messi pool, but still would have never happened. They signed Mikael from Palmeiras on loan, who was the former Houston Dynamo defender, who was an absolute stud when his last time, and he played in MLS in 2023 and 2024. They bring him to bring some stability in the back line. They traded for David Ayala, or they bought him from Portland Timbers, a six who they're really counting on. They're very, very high on him. They think they got a steal with him. He wanted to come here. I think he only had 1 year left on his deal with Portland. And so they were able to get him at a very, very friendly discount, or a good price. So this team has absolutely reloaded in 2026. I think they're going to be better than they were in 2025, because if you noticed or watched Inter Miami, they were an older team who only counted on Messi, and if he was contained, they didn't perform well. But if he played really, really well, he can kind of open things up for other players. And we saw it change a little bit when they had Silvetti and Tadio Yende start playing, who also is back. They spent $5 million on Tadio Yende. I mean, they spent like almost 40 or 50 million. They exercised the Rodrigo de Paul purchase option. They spent a lot of money this offseason. They spent a lot of money. So there's a new theme. They're going young, they're going talented, upside, high ceiling. I mean, this team is going to be scary in 2026. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Who do you think has had the best offseason in MLS in 2026? Do you agree with my list? Disagree? Let me know down below in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give us a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.